Welcome back to the Giants, guys. Another day, another Super Bowl champion. This time it's the big guy, number 85, tight end, Jake Ballard.
Woo! Guess what, people? Yep, I'm back. You are listening to another episode of the Giants, guys. And as always, I will try to keep this monologue short. But today, I've got show notes. I got Mikey Fresh in the building. I got Mr. Glass half full. And as promised, I got Jake Ballard in the house. What's up,
Yes.
Jake?
Come on, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Great to have you, man.
So I got to tell you, so the fans of the show, they're always asking for more access. They want the inside look on what it takes to be a playoff contender or a Super Bowl champion. So we try to do these interviews, kind of give them a little sneak peek behind the curtain. We've had Lawrence, right? Spiro Lawrence Tynes, Carl
Hickson.
Banks, Dominic Hickson, Rich
Dave
Soyber,
Tollefson.
Tollefson. Yeah, oh my God, Dave was funny as hell. So we're just glad to have some offensive talent in the room because
That's right.
we did Carl Banks last week and we had a blast with him. So we're just glad that we've got some finesse in the room.
I don't know if finesse is the right word, but definitely not nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, you're looking pretty jacked yourself right now,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm staying in the weight room.
Staying fit?
Quite a bit. I'm probably around 299 right now.
All right.
Oh, so
Wow.
what are you thinking? Maybe some D tackle?
I definitely could play 5-tech right now. Maybe I could maybe play left tackle. I can still kick slide with my right leg. Left leg, not so much. But
What are you throwing around weight wise?
Oh God, Fresh.
Here we go.
What are we talking about?
Bench, squat, whatever you
How about
like to do.
cleans?
Oh, I don't do any cleans no more. I'll just do squat. I don't really go over reps over like 315 for like 7 or 8. I'm not trying to.
Nice. That's a
I got
lot.
the NFL with a good back. Not
Yeah, right.
But the longer the stronger I keep my legs, the better I feel.
That's
Bench
true.
wise, I mean, I never tore my pec or I had 2 shoulder surgeries. So I really, I'm going for reps. Today I did 3 sets of 315 for 7. So I mean,
Wow.
nothing
Very
crazy.
nice.
What, 290, dude? He could like put you on the bench and throw you around a bit, dude. I mean, seriously, he played at 265. He's put on mature muscle, man.
That's great.
His teeth with you.
Yeah, I think I played around. I was probably with the Giants. It was funny, I was 270-ish, and with the way I was running, catching the balls, everybody had weights that they had to weigh in every week. It's that window. For me, they never said anything.
Let him keep doing his thing.
Meanwhile, my boy Bear Pasco was like a strict window, and if he came in over, he was getting fined or had to do extra cardio.
You're out back like eating up in his face.
Well, no, they made him try and keep the weight off of him. So he was always pissed. He's like, "What'd you weigh in it?" I was like, "I don't know. It doesn't matter." He's like, "What? It doesn't matter."
Well, that's
You could move though. You were pretty quick at that size,
Yeah, pre knee injury. That was great.
well. So let's that's a good segue. So let's back up just a bit so we don't get too far ahead because I have this question here. It's a 2-part, right? So
Yep.
You're an Ohio kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
We interviewed, as I mentioned when we started the show, we interviewed Dominic Hickson. Next week we got Blackburns in the house. Did you go to high school with any of these guys? Did you compete against any of these guys? Because Hickson was like, how he was telling us how he used to go against Blackburn, and then Blackburn got all these offers, and Dominic only had the one to go to Akron, and then when he showed up, he was like, "Oh wait, Blackburn's going here too." He's like, because they all looked up to Blackburn as like a big time Ohio kid. Like, did you play against these guys?
Well, first off, those guys are way older than me.
Yeah.
I didn't think Hickson was that old. I guess I know Blackburn's
Yeah.
older, but
Well,
I guess
Hickson
you're right.
was great no matter what. So yeah, but he is. I think I don't know if they're the same age, but they're similar. And Hickson went to a Columbus City school. I think he went to Whitehall.
Yeah.
And then, Chase went to Marysville, which is like a Columbus suburb. But I'm actually from like a Dayton area, and
Gotcha.
I'm not sure when those guys graduated high school. what was Chase's first year was what, the Super Bowl year?
It's Giant-
08 Super Bowl. So shoot, he probably graduated high school in 2002, 1. I was 06 in high school.
I was gonna say he's probably got 7 or 8 years on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I was 07. I was 07.
All right.
3, baby.
So then here's the question is, and this is like one that I've been thinking, even when you played, I was thinking about this. Did Ohio State know you could catch the ball? Because I mean, Spiro, listen to this. You
Tell
ready
your boy
for this?
Tressel, like, wake up, man.
Yeah, Spiro, check this out. Ready? So Jake goes to Ohio State, like Blackburn and Hickson probably should have done, right? So listen to these stats, Spiro. He goes to Ohio State. He comes out of school with 34 receptions, 377 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 1 year with Eli Manning and the Giants.
Yeah.
He's got 38 receptions, 604 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was inactive the last 2 games of the season. Jake, guys with
Big
those
numbers.
numbers make the Pro Bowl. Like guys, like if you had played those last 2 games, pulled down another, let's say 5-6 catches, another 50 yards, those numbers in today's game, those guys go to the Pro Bowl. Did Ohio State did they know you knew how to catch? Like, what's the deal?
So I know you guys are a little blinded. Well, not blinded. You guys are all what, Jersey, New York?
We're Jersey guys. Rutgers doesn't. We weren't even Big Ten at that point.
Right. So if you're an Ohio State fan, we don't throw the ball at the tight end.
Uh-huh.
And
Ages.
we've started to a little bit more, but nowhere near as much. We have some talented kids. Actually, our tight end this year is Jeremy Rucker. He's a New York boy. He's he might be first, second round pick if we throw him the ball, but we also got a ton of other talent on the Bucks right now. So who the heck knows? Anyway,
Yeah, they got a lot.
Always kind of the trend. I started playing there as a freshman right away, and we had Troy Smith as my freshman quarterback, won the Heisman. I didn't play a lot. Had 1 touchdown, a couple balls thrown my way. Then sophomore and junior year played more. Then I ended up having Terrell Pryor my junior and senior year. And that cat wasn't, if he could run, he was running it.
Yeah, he was taking off.
Right, true.
And it kind of is what it is. All the coaches knew I could catch. I mean, everybody on the team did. And they saw me play, football and hoops on the spare time. So it is what it is.
Let me ask you a question about those 2 quarterbacks. A lot of times, like, so many people, you watch these guys play in college, and then like the pro game is so different, especially at the quarterback position. It's almost impossible to see what's going to translate. It's like a 50-50 ratio of first round picks and high prospects. And if they end up succeeding or end up kind of fizzling out, like when you're playing with guys like that in college, is there something that like you look at and you're like, man, like this guy's got a chance at the next level? Or is it more like this guy's an amazing college player, I just don't know if it's going to work in the NFL? Or is it hard to tell?
Well, I mean, when you're in college, you don't know any better, right?
Yeah.
If you're at Ohio State, you're playing the best of the best. When I was a freshman, Troy was on the money every game he played besides the national championship. And who really knows? I mean, Florida was the better team. Were they 30 points better? Probably not, but it is what it is. I think Troy had all the tools to be an NFL. He was an NFL quarterback for probably 5-6 years. I think he could have been, a starter some places. Some places didn't work out. And then Terrell, I mean, he was an incredible athlete. Could run like a deer. And obviously, you saw it pan out in the NFL. He moved to receiver.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't going to be an NFL quarterback. Everyone did. But an incredible talent. And if he would have moved to receiver earlier, he might still be playing the league.
Right.
But he squeaked out a couple years, made some money, and I think he's doing really well now. But
You had a few great years, yeah.
My answer is you just don't know until you're there. And once I got to New York and saw, Eli, you're well aware. Okay, well, here's the bar now.
Yeah, it's a nice little situation to step into right there, right?
Yeah. I tell people this all the time. I was very fortunate in the NFL. I played 3 different teams. 3 great quarterbacks. The worst quarterback I played with was Carson Palmer. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't have that. I had Carson, Eli, and Tom Brady.
Not bad at all, man.
Yeah, not bad to get balls thrown to.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then, so 2010, are you practice squad at 2010?
So 2010, well, we can kind of start in training camp. So obviously undrafted.
Yep.
Training camp comes along. Boss had surgery, so he's not practicing. It's me, Bear, Scott Chandler, who he was battling injuries beginning of his career. Really didn't turn out to what he did by that. Then he's balling with Buffalo. And
I was gonna say he had a handful of good years in
played
Buffalo.
really well after he left New York, but then Travis Beckham, and Bear Pascal. At one point, me and Bear were the only healthy tight ends, and I'm an undrafted free agent. This is when we still had 2-a-day practices, so all those guys were hurt. We were taking all the reps.
Perfect.
I was doing really well. They just told me to keep doing what I'm doing. I was killing people blocking. I never saw a tight end block like that. And then I pulled my hamstring. Before the first preseason game. Then we were really down, people, and they eventually cut me. But they're like, "We're going to bring you back for the season." So they brought me back. I was on practice squad for a little bit. Got moved up in the middle of the season. Played against Philly, and then moved me back down at the request of the front office, not the coaches.
They can do that?
Yeah, the front office makes all the moves, man. It is, at least that front office was.
Do they even tell you why, though? Like the front office wants to make that move, or does it just happen?
Well, I think they moved me up because they weren't sure if Kevin was going to be able to go. And then he couldn't go, but then he was healthy the next week. And they wanted to keep me up to be like the number 2 behind Kevin, but then somebody else I can't remember who else got hurt. And they, it's a numbers game. So they're like, "We're going to bump me back down." Then I was active. Well, I was up the last month, I think, of the season. But I didn't really play much in 2010.
Wait,
let me ask you this.
Hold on, Fresh. I don't. Tell me then how it feels. So you're an undrafted free agent. Like your agent calls you and says, "Hey, the Giants are interested," or you got a call, because you're an Ohio guy. Is that a big step to go? Like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to New York. That could be a little bit overwhelming for maybe a 20-year-old kid from Ohio, or did it not matter?
Well, so I knew I wasn't going to get drafted. A couple teams said they might take me late if, liked my film. The Pats actually told me, "Hey, if we don't draft tight ends early, we're going to try and snag you late."
Okay.
And with the first pick of the second round, they take Gronk. And then a couple rounds later, they take Aaron. So I was like, all right, they're out. And then my agent was getting a bunch of calls in the draft and teams wanting to sign me as undrafted players. And it really came down to the Browns, Giants, and Pats still wanted to sign me, but it was basically a slotted practice squad spot because they had those two and then Algie Crumpler, who was career. So I wasn't going to beat out any of those three. And then the Giants were saying it was Coach Mike Pope. Pope was hammering Coughlin and everyone else, and my agent Coughlin wanted me too. And they're like, "Listen, we don't have anybody behind Boss, really."
Right.
And that's it. And I knew Kevin Boss. I mean, I was a huge fan of Kevin Boss, watching him play, and I knew I could be somewhat similar. Kevin was a great receiver and pretty decent blocker, but I knew I was a little better blocker than he was. And then the Browns, my agent was trying to get anything out of him, like, "Okay, well, are you bringing any other guys in?" They didn't draft a tight end, and I can't remember who they had, but they just wanted to be honest with them. So
did they have Winslow Jr. back then, or is that a little earlier?
No, that might have been post motorcycle wreck. So
I was gonna say Crazy Winslow at that point.
He might have been on IR. I'm not really sure. I met him in New England at one point. He was with us for a couple of weeks, but anyway. I'm not sure, and we decided New York because of the fact that, hey, Coughlin's pulling for you. Pope was calling me, and I didn't know anything about Mike Pope at the time, but
legendary coach.
I found out. It just seemed like a good fit.
And been there for back from the Parcells days,
right?
His best opportunity for playing time too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: you touched on blocking, that's clearly something that was a big strength of yours. At that, for a lot of guys, I feel like these days it's a lot of it is effort and how much they put into it. But as a guy who clearly excelled in that area, what do you attribute that to? Is that just something that you worked at because you cared, an effort thing? Is that just something you just happen to be better than other guys?
Maybe he's just a natural athlete.
Yeah,
man.
is it a natural thing? Talk me through
I think there's a little bit of want to in there for sure. Effort. But then, there's a lot of, they say you can't teach size and speed and dog. Some guys
True.
just don't have a dog in them, or don't have any fight. And I think and in high school, I was the defensive player of the state of Ohio for Division II football.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most schools wanted me as DN. Like, very few guys wanted me for tight end. Ohio State was one of them, and I didn't want to go anywhere else. And I think that defensive background, or like trying to blow, hit guys off the ball, I think, made me the aggressor, and I think it helped out with my blocking game.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
I mean, again, I can't even compare to even like I can be a water boy at Ohio State, but I can tell you one thing: playing D3 ball in college, I came from playing defense and then getting to college and then making me a blocking slot receiver. We called them flankers back then. Okay. So at 195 pounds, I can knock the snot out of some small DBs. So, if you know how to play defense and it translates over to the offense. Like he's like Jake's saying. So again, I can't compare on his level, but like if you have it in you and you know what the technique is, I think it kind of comes natural for some of these guys. Like some offensive guys just don't block because they never had to.
Yeah, and like the tight end now, Evan Ingram, like he's a big receiver and he's sufficient at cutting off the end of the line or blocking downfield, but he never had to put his hand in the dirt and blow off, go toe to toe with a Justin Tuck or Jake. I did that every day at Ohio State. DNs, Cam Hayward, I went against him every freaking day.
Dang.
And other, Vernon Golston back before before he flopped in the NFL, but the guy got paid. You can't be mad at him. Anyway, all these DNs in Ohio State that were born and bred to be NFL DNs, I saw that every day. So it's not anything new to me.
Yeah, Carl Banks basically said, reason why he was so good was he had to go against Mark Bavaro every day in practice. And he goes, and he used his words, he goes, it was effing hard. He goes, everybody else would just line up and watch one-on-one drills and it would be me against Mark. He's like, and we're still to this day really good friends. He's like, really good friends. He's like, because every day the coach he would say, Pope would come to me and say, hey, I need you to really put it on Mark today. And I thought that was a really cool, moment.
He was telling Tuck that for Jake.
Iron sharpens iron, man. That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing I always tell people. They're like, "Who's the hardest guys you had to block?" And I'm like,
"Don't D me."
Our DNs were so good. When I got to game Sunday, it was like, I don't care who you put in front of me. I mean,
it's true.
JPP, Tuck, OC, Matthias Kiwanuka with his score, and another guy throwing that wasn't on the team, but Alden Smith, rangy guy, 6'6", 270. He was one of the tougher guys I had to block.
Big wingspan.
Yeah, by the time I get through those guys, it's not a big deal. And
game day's a cakewalk, right? After
right, and it was tough. We go against practice, but we have some periods where we might lock up and go back and forth. But then the minute it went live, it's like, oh well, strap them up. We got to go.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about the better part of being a tight end, catching the ball, route running. So. All right, you're not blessed with 4.4 speed like Ingram is, like you're talking about. But what was your technique? What was the best part of your route running? How'd you get open so often? That seam route was always open for you, man. You're
2011 season was pretty magical for you. So it's like whatever he was doing was working.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. I joke with people that I was a one-hit wonder, but. I think, just every day of practice, I was trying to, every route, every rep, every play, I was going to try and run as fast as I could down the field, get in and out of breaks. There'd be times where Pope would be, pausing the film, and I'd be like running some over route, and I'd be the furthest guy downfield. Meanwhile, you have Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz and Mario Manningham, and I'm a couple yards past them.
Yeah.
So the way I was, I didn't have top end speed, but my burst was probably as good as any of those guys. And in and out cuts, I could do it as well as the best of them.
You were always downfield, man. I was watching all the highlights.
You could move, man, for your size. I didn't realize you played at 270. You said that. I mean,
Well,
I-
remember, he's
I was a little sloppy. I probably could have, those old Reebok jerseys didn't do any of us any favors. I kind of had a little beer gut. We're lying as you go older. I wish I would have been a little more stingy in my nutrition when I was actually playing.
well, you're a
Gotcha.
pro athlete, man. You got to have a couple beers and some steaks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Help with the blocking.
Right. 23, 24-year-old pro athlete.
Yeah.
Well,
Living in New York.
so what's really cool is, so again, I've been a season ticket holder. My dad's had him since '68. I've had him for years. I haven't missed many games. I saw all your snaps that year. That was a cool year. And what I wanted to ask you was, because I'm still trying to put it together in my head, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because, like you said, that 2010 season was kind of up and then down, and then, you're moving on the roster, off the roster. You still 2011, you start the season, 10-year anniversary of September 11th. You start the beginning of that season. And what I'm trying to figure out is Boss is back. Pascal's on the roster. But you don't drop off. Like you kind of take off. You're ascending, right? You had a really cool year for a tight end that just 6 months prior was the guy that was being forced to the practice squad. So what happened between year 1 and year 2 that just was like this? Hey, we're good. Ballard's our guy. Like, how did that happen?
I mean, a lot of things. I think staying in New York as a practice squad guy, kind of just same rookie year. I made every rep count. I tried as hard as I could at practice. I was trying to get better. Pick one thing to get better at today or every week to work on, and then. Going in my second year, I knew the offense, so that wasn't a problem. And then that actually was the lockout. So we didn't have OTAs, no off-season workout with the team. And I just went back to Columbus, actually finished my degree. I was like one semester short. And I trained with the Ohio State guys, ran routes there by myself, kept training. And I remember getting back into town once the lockout was over and doing a couple workouts and getting ready for training camp. And East Rutherford, because we didn't go to Albany that year. And, we had our first practice. And I remember Coach Pope coming in and said, hey, Boss is gone, signed with Oakland. And then it's the guys in this room who are going to be our guys. And I told myself, all right, this is it. I'm taking it. And no one's going to take it from me.
Love it.
Now,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's 2011. 2010, didn't he get like a bunch of concussions?
So he had Kevin suffered. He got a bunch of concussions throughout his career. I don't know if that's why he didn't play that game. I don't think it was a concussion. He might have had a soft tissue injury. It might have been a concussion. I'm not sure. But what happened, his contract was up in 10, and then he was going back and forth between the Raiders and the Giants. He was actually about to sign with the Giants, and then the Raiders doubled what they were offering.
Can't pass that up.
Gotta go.
I would. All right, see you later.
Right.
I mean, he did me a favor. I would love to have him back. I didn't really get to be on the field with him much, but
I think you got over it.
It wouldn't have worked out the same for me if Boss was still there. I'd be on the team, but wouldn't have the same stats or anything like that.
So, all right, ready? Check this out, Fresh. Opening day is that 10-year anniversary, right? For September 11th. 60 yards versus Washington. Versus Seattle a couple weeks later, 72 yards with a touchdown. 81 yards versus Buffalo. Now, this is my favorite. I hit you up on Twitter about this one. 67 yards and the game-winning touchdown in New England. I was at the game.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. So I was at the game. I got a buddy of mine.
Awesome
Yeah. Spirit, my buddy goes, why don't you come up to Boston and watch your boys get their ass kicked? And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll come, but I got a feeling that you're gonna get surprised on what you get. I'm like, this team has got some magic left in it from the 07 season. Like, Coughlin's still there. There's a little bit going, there's something going on. And Jake scores the game-winning touchdown.
That seam catch, the seam catch,
the
man.
seam catch on that last drive is what I remember, man.
Phenomenal.
That
Blacked out.
Yeah. You
Dude,
blacked out.
that catch was absurd. I remember thinking to
It
myself,
seemed like it was behind you.
on that drive, Eli, I'm like, dude, that play by Eli and by Ballard, Eli put it in such a spot between two defenders.
Between
you
the
had
two
to,
defenders. That
and
was
you had
awesome.
the way that you caught the ball was the only way that you could have went up and got it. And I remember thinking to myself after the game, that's when they went to 6-2 and they're throwing Coughlin up and down in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, that play was like one of the plays of the season, you know?
All right. So where do you hear this story, Fresh? This story, I tell this story to people, they don't believe me. I go to that game and my buddy sits on the 49-yard line, right? Right up against the booth, right? The owner's booth,
on the
right
Patriots
behind us.
side. Yeah.
So he says, so we're sitting in seat 3, 4, 5, and 6. Me and my buddy and my other buddy, right? Seat 1 and 2 on the 50 are empty. Okay. So I'm like, I said to my buddy, who sits in these two seats next to me? He goes, oh, that's Robert Kraft's kids. And I go, wait, they sit out here? He goes, they can't stand to sit inside with the old man because he's crazy, right? So it's like, I don't know. I think it's probably around the second quarter. Giants are heating up. Kiwanuka's having a great day, right? And I think it's Robert Kraft Jr., if I'm not mistaken, comes up and he sits down. Hey, how you doing? Hey, nice to meet you. So it seemed like a nice cat, right? And I'm thinking, okay, this guy's a billionaire. I'm hanging out with this guy, right? So the game goes on. He makes that catch. His dad's screaming from the booth behind us. The kids get up. They're not kids. I call them kids. Kraft's sons, I should say. They're probably older than me at the time, because at that time I'm like 30, right? They go storming down the aisle. I'm the only one standing like, woo! Because Ballard's having a day. He scores that. He's like, when you look at it from the angle, it looked like that ball was going to get picked off, Fresh, because Eli throws that ball behind the linebacker in front of the safety, or maybe the corner, right through those guys to Jake on the seam, but it looked like more of like an out.
So you blocked out there?
Huh?
You blocked out, you said?
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Concentration's
But
crazy, dude.
I tell the people, I'm like, yeah, I sat next to Robert Kraft's kids. I could hear the old man yelling from the booth behind him. And the minute he caught it, they stormed off right down the aisle. I was like,
that's great.
Yes. Yeah.
So are you the primary on that play? Like, do you know Eli's going to stick it in that window?
No, I don't remember at all. I knew I had the seam, and I got outside the linebacker and I looked up and it was there, and I just jumped up and caught it, to be honest.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I do not remember the play at all. Have no idea. And a lot of people don't remember this about that game. We were down some guys.
Right.
David Boss was out. Ahmad Bradshaw was out.
Right.
And even, I think Mario Manningham was out.
I think Soybert played center that game, or Kevin Booth, one of the two.
It was Kevin played center, and then I'm pretty sure Mitch Petras came in and played guard. And
God rest his soul.
I know that one hurt, man. I just was not expecting crazy circumstances, but we were down a lot of guys. So, and then their 25 win game home streak or something.
Yeah.
That ended. And I'll tell you what, it was pretty cool, Well, I hated leaving New York. I wanted to be a Giant for life. Stuff happens. I'm sure we might talk about that later. But, playing with Tom and seeing what kind of player and teammate he is, but also his competitive drive. He used to give me crap about that all the time. He's like, if you think I forgot what you guys did, came in here.
No way.
Yeah. This is a guy who's played how many games? 200 NFL games?
Tom Brady?
Tom Brady. He cares about the one that he lost to us, and I was on his team now. He's like, so if you think I forgot when he caught that game-winning touchdown, you're effing mistaken.
Well, I'll definitely get to that in a minute. Tell me about Coughlin before I forget. I'm just, I think about it, like undrafted free agent. You don't catch a lot of balls, to catching a whole shit ton of balls, to making huge catches all year. Like I said before, and I'm not floating your boat. The numbers that you had, if you weren't inactive those last two games, and you have 700-800 yards, I mean, you go to the Pro Bowl in 2020, 2021. Those are Pro Bowl numbers for tight ends, especially a blocking tight end, right? Yeah. So, you have this crazy magical year. We all know, like, that's Coughlin's second go around. He's a little softer, maybe a little bit more gentle, but like, What was it like playing for Coughlin? Like, did you have a lot of interaction with him? Did you like him? Any
Oh,
insight you can give us on TC?
I love Coach Coughlin. Talked to them quite a bit, and it goes back to I was a young guy when I was with him. If I was a little more seasoned vet, I would have probably talked to him more. But being kind of young, quiet, intimidated, I had a lot of conversations with him, but not as much as I would have liked to, looking back. But Coughlin had the locker room. Guys loved him. They followed him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he gave people a bunch of crap or was tough at times, but then he also wasn't at times.
Right.
Sometimes he was one of the guys, but we respected that, and that's how it should be with coach. You don't want a coach that's just like one of the guys all the time, aka Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland. What happened? And Freddie's a great guy. He was our quarterback coach when I was in Arizona. Loved him, but you can't be one of the boys all the time. It just doesn't work. But Coughlin, I'd go to battle with that guy anytime. Like I said, I would have loved to play my whole career in New York and not got hurt and been, a 10, 15-year Giants and been with Coach Coughlin. How it ended up with him, I thought they did him dirty for everything he gave to that team. And, after they got rid of him, who Al McAdoo went in, but
Yeah.
then, they went out and got a defense, which they weren't giving him. It just was unbelievable. One quick story. Actually, in 2015, I went back for some game. They're doing I forget what they were calling, homecoming game.
Okay.
So players there from the past, and I went back, and I brought my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And
Congrats.
Glad that worked out.
yeah, it worked out. Brought my girlfriend, and we got in early, and I wanted to show her New York, just she's never been. And I was like, well, we got to go to the Giants facility, see my guys, some of the equipment staff who's no longer there, and my guy Ronnie Barnes. And
Oh, Ronnie.
the facility was empty because I think all the players were out, but the guys who worked there were still there. And I guess Coughlin was there, but I didn't want to bother him or whatever. And I was walking around, also ran into a guy I loved, Marcus Paul. Rest in peace as well. Just one of the greatest guys you could be around. And word trickled down to Coughlin that I was in the facility, and he came and found me.
Awesome.
Gave me a hug, wanted to see me, and he's like, "Man, you look great. What's going on with your life? What are you doing?" And
That's awesome.
met my girlfriend, and it was pretty cool. And then they were actually playing the Patriots that weekend or that weekend. And I think I left it. I was like, "Oh, Coach, I know you take care of business." He's like, "Oh, I don't know. we'll see." And I don't know. Was 15 his last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 was.
And they were struggling on defense. They didn't have the studs. They didn't have the players. They weren't protecting Eli. So, he could only do so much. Anyway, they played him pretty well.
They did.
And then
Landon Collins, actually, I think it was Landon Collins dropped the game clinching interception.
yeah. So they played him tough. And actually, no, I think I was there it wasn't a homecoming. I was homecoming a couple years ago, but before that, I was just there for an autograph signing or something. Well, they hooked me and my wife up with sideline passes for the whole game. And I just told her, and this was her first NFL game.
Oh,
wow.
man.
Yeah, she's like, I'm marrying this dude. This guy's awesome.
You locked it in that day. You didn't even know it.
It's
She
funny.
had no idea anything about football or that I played at Ohio State when we met, which is good. Anyway, and I told her, I was like, "Listen, this doesn't happen. These guys just don't get sideline passes." So it was pretty neat, man. And I'm really looking forward to going back for the reunion this fall.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, it's funny.
Spill the beans. What reunion? What's that about?
Assuming it's the 10-year Super Bowl reunion, so
True.
I assume we would go for a
Okay.
game. I don't know if they've picked a game. I just assumed that would be happening.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's funny you say that about Coughlin. I feel like looking back now, Giants fans and Giants Nation, we all recognize that he took the axe really, and it was an accumulation. Not to blame Jerry Reese, but the front office
you can blame Jerry Reese.
early on.
Let's all agree on that.
They got a guy like you, an undrafted free agent, and that was such a great find, right? And then along the lines, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, they weren't as good at bringing in the right guys. And they, like you said, the offensive line deteriorated, the defense deteriorated, and getting rid of Coughlin was supposed to fix that. Then they bring in all these free agents. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think Coughlin took the axe, and looking back, they cycled through a couple coaches. We think we found the guy now, but
Yo, Mike,
Yeah, Joe Judge, he was our assistant special teams coach when I was in New England. I really like Joe. I think he gets it, and I'm excited to see what he does once they keep improving the roster a little bit.
Yeah, definitely it should be a better year. I mean, they brought in some heavy hitters. They gave Jones some some help. All right. So you liked Coughlin. And you know what? I think the guys that we've talked to have all said, like, after that first Super Bowl and like kind of mellowed him a little bit, and he started asking people about their kids and their family, and all of a sudden he started enjoying it more.
Yeah.
So at the time that 2011 rolled around, he was probably
like a grandfather figure.
Well, I don't know. I doubt Tom Coughlin's. Yeah, I doubt Coughlin's ever soft, Mikey Fresh, but I think he just had a different appreciation for it at that point.
Yeah. How was Bill? How was going to Bill?
Yeah. How would you compare the two?
Oh man, Bill. Have a lot of respect for Bill. I liked Bill. He was very stern a lot of times, but he had very dry humor sometimes, and it was pretty funny. But I did notice while I was there that Bill would always treat the guys that beat him or did well against him like almost higher than some of the guys on his team, or at a different level. Like he'd always try and talk to me, crack some jokes. Obviously, he'd do that with his guys too, like Tom and Vince Wilfork and stuff. But it just seemed like he always treated those guys a little different. But I mean, pretty similar coaching styles. I think Coughlin was a little more personable sometimes. The thing with Bill, he's the GM, the head coach. He's trading, talking contracts. You can put whatever title you had on Nick Caserio, but Bill was doing everything.
Right. He couldn't get too close with you guys, I'm sure. So that's why
I think that was on point too. I mean, there was definitely a revolving door up in New England constantly. Right. But I enjoyed my time. The only difference was, I think, or at least my opinion, in New England, it seems like everybody was walking on eggshells around Bill, to the point where it made some of the support staff and coaches push them outside their comfort level, to where people in New York with Coughlin, they could still be themselves in their own coaching styles, and as long as they got the job done. But it's almost like in New England, they had to almost put that Bill Belichick hat on to be like that. And I mean, you can't say much. They 6 Super Bowls up there, so it is what it is.
Something's working, right?
Well, when I was there, when I got there after I got cut by Jerry Reese,
he tried to slip you in there.
They were talking about the Patriot way, and this is 2012. And I'm like, guys, you haven't won a Super Bowl in like 7 years.
No big deal. I'm a Super Bowl champ walking in there.
Jake's walking around with this shiny object on his hand going, oh yeah, remember that?
No, well, get this. The first day I was there was their last day of minicamp, and they were handing out their AFC championship ring. So we ended minicamp. My first day there, obviously I wasn't practicing. I was 4 months out of ACL. They end the team meeting and tell anybody who was not in the team last year was dismissed, and then they carted the rings in. So I went into the locker room with my buddy Bobby Carpenter, who was a linebacker, played at Ohio State, Cowboys, yada.
Just so you know, if I'm not mistaken, his dad was a running back for the Giants.
Rob Carpenter, that's right.
Right.
Number 26 came from the Houston Oilers.
Yes, sir. I know. No, his pictures up at Giant Stadium and some of the hallways over there.
Right.
But so we were sitting in the locker room as they were all coming in, and he yells out, "Hey, Ballard, show him the real ring." I don't know any of these guys. I just got here.
Yeah, you just showed up.
I've been there for 5 hours. And Tom walked by, and he's like, "F you, Bob, too soon."
Too soon.
And then Tom's like, "Jake, we're glad to have you."
let's back it up a bit then, Jake. Tell me, I mean, man, like I can't even fathom it. All right. So you have like this magical 2000, season, 2011 season. You guys beat up on it at Atlanta, which was just a pouncing. I remember that. That was
I was at
great,
that one too. That was awesome.
yeah,
24-2
awesome.
or something.
You beat Rodgers in Green Bay. Green
We
Bay.
beat up on Green Bay too.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
then-
yeah.
And then San Fran.
You guys pounded them in Lambeau at Lambeau.
Oh yeah, it was great.
What's the energy like? Well, are you living in Jersey or are you living in New York at the time?
Well, I was in Secaucus.
Okay.
Right.
So you're on the Jersey side. It's rocking on both sides. I'm sure you guys are in the city and out of the city, that kind of stuff. What's that like 4 weeks like, those 4 weeks of playoffs? Because like one thing about New York, they love their Giants, they love their Yankees, they love their winners, What's that playoff run like? Because again, like, a year before you were on a practice squad and they were pushing you down the chain. Now you're on your way to the playoffs. I mean, like, this is what you live for, right?
Right.
So what's that like when you're like, holy crap, we're going to the playoffs. Holy crap, we just beat up on Rodgers. Like
Right.
that's got to be like a moment where you look at yourself and go, holy shit. Like this is what we do all of. This is what does Parcells say? That's why we lift all those heavy weights.
Right. No, I mean it was crazy magical. You know what I mean? It was almost like when we just started clicking and just got better every week. And I'd go and, end of the year. So it's around Christmas time. I'd take the train into the city and people would start recognizing me and yelling out my name. And at one time, I think this was after we beat Atlanta, I went to a Knicks game, took one of my, I think it took Tyler Sash actually.
I know. May you rest in peace.
Man,
R.I.P.
I can't believe there's been 3 of them we talk about.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, seriously.
Not that long ago. Went to the Knicks game and they always do their like celebrity intros on the screen. Well,
Sure.
I didn't expect that. I didn't know I was on the floor seats, little guy from Dayton, Ohio at the Garden. Anyway, like they did the Sunday Night Football intro, dun 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 dun, and they came up, and
That's sick.
everybody started standing up and cheering. It was nuts. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Jake's like, who are you cheering for?
Yeah. And then they showed it, one of my plays on the big screen. I'm watching it. I'm like, this is not real life right now.
Awesome. Awesome.
What is happening? And I'll never forget that, man. It was one of the cooler experiences I ever had in my life. And then, and I forgot. And then I ended up lighting the Empire State Building blue for the playoff run.
Yeah, I remember that.
Got to go up there, and that was insane.
All right, wait, how do you do it? How do you light it? Is it just a switch?
Just a switch. I just cranked the switch. They took
What
me
about
to the base of the needle and the little crow's nest, and it was crazy fast winds. It was like hitting me mid thigh. I'm like, if I just tumble out of this thing,
You're
over.
living your best life at that point, man.
Yeah.
Like whatever at that point.
and then what was the moment, and I know Craig's getting into this, that you felt something happen in the Super Bowl? Like what was the moment with your leg?
Yeah,
So-
because like I got to tell you, like you can't. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, like you go to the Super Bowl, media week, doing all that cool stuff.
right?
You go to the Super Bowl, you're not sweating it, right? Because Giants have already beat them once already. They're not afraid of Brady. You got a couple grabs. I think you had 2-3 catches for like 10 yards. Like, what the heck?
Heartbroken seeing you on the
'Cause
sideline,
I
man.
kinda-
Heartbreaking.
And am I wrong? Are you running up and down the sidelines trying to go?
Well, so what happened? I was on the left side. I was running like a 10-yard in. Spikes, I was off the ball, got on the ball, waved Mario off. Spikes came in over top of me. I made a move, got around him, was working my way downfield, and I tried to throw like a head fake left. He was like on my right hip behind me. I tried to throw him left and then go right. So I plant with my left leg. I'm cutting right, and he's pushing me. So my left knee just twists. My foot got stuck in the turf. It was a weird feeling. I knew something wasn't right. So that's when my ACL definitely tore on the field, right? So that's when I'm on that picture. I'm on the sideline. They're doing the ACL stability test.
Damn turf. Those turfs, man.
Yeah, and you would have thought that the doctors we had, would be able to tell if the ACL was gone, but I guess my quad, I just been running for 3 hours. My quad is firing. It's probably pretty stable. Well, they told me, they're like, I think it's just your meniscus, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not structural. Like, fine.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Point. There's like 7 minutes left. So like, we'll tape it up and see if you can run with it. So I'm running around the sidelines. I'm like, man, it does not feel normal. And then they're like, okay, try and stop.
It's not buckling on you at all or anything?
Not when I was running. It just felt loose. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
a little loose. And they told me to try and stop on it. And that's when I went down. And that's actually, my ACL is strong. The reason I retired is because of all my cartilage damage.
Okay.
If they would have made me try and stop on the sidelines, it would have been a standard ACL. I would have still been in New York. But
pretty well.
So you think if you had just not continued, if you'd stopped right then and there, you probably would have just got the surgery and came back the next year?
Oh, I know for a fact that would have been the case.
That's unfortunate.
They tried to squeeze you through waivers, didn't they?
Yeah, they tried to squeeze me through waivers to save one roster spot.
Yeah, try to get slick.
One roster spot for Rocky
Bernard,
he wasn't going to sign anywhere. If they would just waited till training camp, they could have put me straight to IR and not hit the waiver wire.
I'll tell you what. I'll speak for most Giants fans and probably all Giants fans. We were not happy about that, man. Not happy about that.
You're the second guest. Tollefson wasn't too fond of Jerry Reese. He had more harsh words. I'm kind of reading between the lines with you.
Yeah,
but
Tollefson.
They called me into the office before they did it, and I knew that what they were going to talk about because my agent kind of prepped me. And it was Jerry. Coach Coughlin was gone, and Jerry's just like, "Hey, we're gonna, you're going to need more time to heal and rehab, so you're not going to play this year, so we're going to put you on IR." And I was like, well, there's a chance of me getting picked up by another team, is there? He's like, oh, no, this is like an unwritten rule. You don't claim guys for injury. And I'm like, listen.
Tell Belichick that.
You're like, yeah, I just beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Right. And I was like, listen, I love being here. I worked my way up from the practice squad. I have a lot of pride in being a Giant. I want to be here forever. I love it. And I was like, I don't want to get picked up. And he's like, well, you're not going to get picked up. We'll be fine. So I left pissed off. And I actually had a freaking autograph signing that day. It broke. I had my autograph signing that I got cut from the Giants. So I'm like, this for failing a physical. And I'm like, this is not what's happening right now. Anyway, Coughlin called me too, and he was hot. He's like,
oh yeah,
I am so upset and pissed off. He's like, Jake, you're a smart kid. You know that I don't make all the shots or call the shots, but he's like, I pray to God that you make it through wires tomorrow and you're still a Giant by tomorrow night.
Because it's funny. Like I said, I'm older than these guys. I mean, like I was pissed.
Oh yeah, we were all pissed.
Because I was like, just like, you don't get, the Giants have always had some really good tight ends, but there was a point where there were no tight ends, right? So I was like, okay, we have Boss. Now we got Ballard. We're good for the next 5, 6, 7 years. We're good to go. I was pissed. Like, I just was like, because Belichick did it just to be spiteful. I mean, like, come on, man.
So too, yeah. I mean, so when you're on the wire, they told me not to come in to the facility. I thought it was weird, so I was like, okay, I'll just go home. So I stayed at home, just thinking nothing of it. They were in minicamp finishing, I think, their second practice, and Ronnie called me. He's like, hey, Coughlin wants you to come in. He was like, you haven't heard anything yet? He's like, no, I haven't heard anything yet. I think you're good. So I come in, they're in the indoor. I'm saying hi to everybody. Everybody's kind of like waving, joking around. And I'm talking with Ronnie, and one of Jerry Reese's minions comes over to me and says to Ronnie, hey, did you tell him?
Oh.
And Ronnie's like, I didn't tell him. And I was like, tell me what? He's like, you'll never believe it. The Patriots picked you up the last 5 minutes of the waiver wire.
Jeez.
Instantly got sick to my stomach. So pissed off. I was like, no way. Called my agent, and my agent's like, no, you didn't. I haven't got any calls from anybody. The minute I was on the phone with him, he got a call coming in from Fox. So then it starts spreading, to the guys while the practice is going on. Coughlin finds out, his face gets beat red. He couldn't even look at me. The freaking the Maras came over and gave me a big hug and like, we're so sorry. We appreciate everything you've done here. You're a great young man. You'll have success anywhere. And of course, Jerry DeReese didn't say anything to me.
Of course not.
And
Because I was probably would have fought someone. I don't even remember.
I can't believe he sent the minion down to ask Ronnie Barnes.
Yo,
Right.
that cat was spineless, man.
Yeah, and all the guys would come over in between breaks and be like, "What the heck?" Like, and when we got in the locker room after practice, I'll never forget. Like David Carr's like, "This was so dumb." He's like, "This was so useless and pointless. There was no reason this happened." He's like, "They just let you walk out the door for no reason."
That unwritten rule bullshit. I remember reading it all the time, and I'm just like, you're just trying to make up for what you did here. You try to be slick, and you got caught. So man.
And Spiro,
I remember I told Jerry Reese in that meeting, I was like, "Hey, I'm a young tight end who had a great year. Someone's gonna take a chance, put me on IR. Why won't you guys?"
and Spiro, you know Belichick. I mean, he's the ultimate tactician. You know, he's looking at this guy.
He's always looking long term.
Well, just think about Bill. Think how Bill works, right? This cat beats me at my home field and breaks my home winning record. This guy comes back and beats me in the Super Bowl. You know what? I'm sticking it to Coughlin. I'm sticking it to Reese. I'm sticking it to the Maras and the Giants.
Yeah, but it's a long term look at it too. Like he's like, okay, we're gonna rehab him, and it's a long term versus short term look. Reese trying to get the short term one roster spot, and Belichick's looking long term. So it's
I was on a plane to Boston without I didn't have any say in the matter against my will the next morning, and that's what Bill said. He brought me his meeting room. He's like, "Hey, you did really well against us. I'll play 3 tight ends every game next year. I don't care." He's like, "You, Aaron, and Gronk, you'll train this year, rehab, get healthy, and we'll go 3 tight end sets every play next year."
Yeah. Let me ask you this. A lot of guys, a lot of Giants fans are really split on Eli, and like a lot of critics are super harsh. And
he speaks for the under 28-year-old fans, for the record.
Right.
I'm 32, but I'm just saying I argue with a lot of friends about Eli, and some of them are Giants fans, some aren't. Everyone focuses on what he couldn't do, like athletically and stuff. And I'm just like, do you know anything? This guy shows up every week. The organization hasn't had to worry about that position for 15 years because he's an Iron Man, and he comes up big in the biggest moments. Like, what else do you want your quarterback to do? Like maybe he doesn't like scramble and run the fastest or whatever, or throw the prettiest ball all the time. But don't you want your quarterback to be unflappable, throw 4 first quarter interceptions, but then have the balls to lead their team down with 2 minutes to go in the game? So just like being in the huddle with him and playing with him, what is what can you say about that? Like just the confidence knowing that he's under center.
Well, I mean, I guess Eli never missed a beat. He wasn't the most vocal guy all the time, but it's not that he wasn't, you know what I mean? I think Eli naturally would probably, if he could have it, was probably an introvert compared to Peyton, right? Peyton wants to be in the front of the camera. He wants to call the whole offense, talk all the time. But being a leader and a quarterback pulled him out of there and made him be more vocal. And he was like, having another coach out there, but also just one of the guys at times. So very easy to get to like and be around. And, Eli, we had obviously a good connection that year because he knew, where I was going to be. I knew where he wanted me to be. Even sometimes when maybe I'd break off the route or do something else, he knew where I was going to be. And every Friday, we'd have a meeting with just us and Eli and the skilled guys, no coaches involved. And we'd go for extra film work. And I'm not sure if every quarterback did that. I'm sure the great ones did, but I always thought it was weird. New Yorkers just not all Giants fans, but didn't realize what they had until, it was gone. And then they're basing his career work on a couple years that really weren't weren't his fault. People, when he threw all those picks that 1 or 2 year, he got sacked, probably top 5 sacks in the league.
Yep.
His line was terrible. He had young receivers. And I told people when they try and say he's not a Hall of Famer or they pick out the picks that season, I'll be like, listen, if I'm because he would overthrow balls or the guys wouldn't be there. I was like, if I'm betting on what happened, is it the young receivers or Eli? It's the young receivers not being in the right spot. That's
100%.
It's not Eli overthrowing it. It's them not doing their job because Eli does his job every day.
Yeah. Well said.
Well,
So-
again, Eli and Coughlin both took the falls for somebody else's problem.
Right.
And we're not going to say that guy's name, but
Gary Reeves.
Right.
We're just
Hey,
like-
are you tight with any of the guys? You still talk to some of your boys, or how's that work?
So I talked to Bear probably the most. I text Kevin Boss and Travis every once in a while, Kevin Booth, Chase every once in a while. I hate to say it, but like I wasn't in New York very long, and I was, like I said, a lot of those guys were from the 08 team, so they had bonds over years, and I wanted to be that guy. I just didn't get a chance to. I was gone after the year, so
too soon.
Yeah, too soon. And but I went back for that softball game, saw all those guys in 2016. I think
That's cool.
Celebrity softball game, and it was awesome. I love
Yeah.
all the guys.
Right.
What are
Hey,
you doing these days? How are you spending your time?
I'm actually in real estate, some residential stuff and land development stuff.
And if you don't buy anything, he's 290 pounds. He'll crush your skull.
Yeah, and I've been doing it for 7 years now, which is
Wow.
crazy to say.
I just got in the game. I just got in the game myself, so I got to get some tips out of you there, Jake.
Yeah. I heard you. Our markets, I think we're like the hottest market in the country, but what's not hot right now? And
Yeah, right.
Some of your prices on the East Coast are just insane.
Well, I appreciate you hanging out. We're going to have you back. Actually, you brought up that celebrity softball game, Spiro. That's, if I'm not mistaken, license plate guy, Joe. I think Joe pushed that to.
Joe LPG.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, we're pretty friendly with Joe, and
Shout out.
every year he turns out like just a slamming event. He does really good work. He gets friendly with a couple guys. He did this a lot of work with Darnay Holmes this year. He does a good job. How about this? I'll leave you with this as last question because I know you don't want to hang out with us all day. Do you watch? Because I'm always curious. You're done. Or do you pop it on a Sunday and see what they're doing?
So I think for a while after I got I just felt, I'm not going to say I felt like I got the short screwed in football. Everything happens for a reason. Not many people can walk away on their own terms. But I just felt, I ended up retiring in Arizona. I was a starting tight end out there all summer into training camp. I just couldn't take it, and my knee was killing me. And I just kind of stepped away from. I didn't watch NFL too much. I paid attention to Ohio State. I'd pay attention to what was going on, but I didn't really watch too many games from start to finish.
Okay.
But I know what's happening. I'm starting to watch NFL a little more and more. I played fantasy last year for the first time ever.
Nice.
So, like I said, I pay attention, and I'll probably start paying attention a little more. Now that I'm far enough out, I was like, I don't really have anything bitter about. I'm 33. It is what it is. I'm excited to see what the tight ends do.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Kyle Rudolph has left in his tank. He's obviously had a hell of a career.
Well, he wasn't their main guy last year, so his numbers dipped. But I think he could. I think he'll still serve a purpose.
There's a reason he wasn't the main guy last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
I think he'll still be a good supporting tight end, especially get him and Ingram in some sets where you're obviously splitting Ingram out and moving him around. Let's see what Kelvin Benjamin looks like.
That's right.
Rocking the 8.5.
Big shoes to fill.
Can't believe they took that number from you, bro.
I took that number from me a while ago.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I'll hit you back up when the season goes. Maybe we can have you back on because, we're at least me anyway. I'm pretty hard on Ingram, just because I want to like the guy, but it's really hard to watch a guy with that kind of talent, just drop.
We need your sure hands on Ingram. Put those hands on them.
I don't know, or they need to call you up and work with him or something because I don't care what he does in OTAs and stuff like that. He's got to catch a ball. Now I get it. He's fast, straight line speed, right? And maybe Rudolph offers you a little bit something different. So maybe if you don't mind, I'll hit you up during the season. Maybe we can get you back on.
No, yeah, guys, this was fun. I'm down to do this whenever.
Yeah,
Awesome time,
I
man.
appreciate that. Well, listen, you people listening to the Giants, guys, that's Jake Ballard. That's Mikey Fresh. That's Spiro, Mr. Glass half full. You guys know me. This is the podcast you love to hate, the Giants guys. This will be cranked up on YouTube tomorrow. Jake's got stuff to do. He doesn't want to hang out with us. He's actually got a couple sets to bang out, because he's only 290. So we appreciate you hanging out with us, and we will be back next week with Chase Blackburn, another Ohio football player.
There we go.